Hello, Brobs. We're back with The Wandering Heir, a Christmas story by Charles Reade. Chapter 6. Philip, being commander, sent James to one inn and went to another himself. He said that was most prudent to avoid discovery, but his real motive was different. He had a very difficult game to play. His wit, however, proved equal to it. Remembering that his father was a lawyer, he inquired for an old lawyer, a gray-headed one. He stipulated severely for gray hairs. When he had found his gray-headed lawyer and liked his countenance, he did not make two bites of a cherry, but told him all and showed him the advertisement. The lawyer easily got her 80 gold pieces on the security of her diamond cross and gave her a room on his own premises where she could dress herself in any costume she liked without being reported. Meantime, James Annesley was not idle. He saw a notice up that Admiral Vernon's ship was short of hands, and he went and engaged himself to serve on board her. He promised to bring a much smarter fellow next day, meaning his mate Philip. When they met in the evening, he told Philip this, and Philip was much vexed at first. "Oh, why will you do things without asking me?" However, on reflection, she acquiesced, and, with true feminine tact, altered all her plans to meet this unexpected move. She told James she would go on board the ship, but in another capacity. She had friends and money, and would work for both, only for a day or two. He must not expect to see much of her. The lawyer sent the horses to McCarthy and advised him not to trouble any more about the servants, as they were under his care, and he might have to go into the poisoning business if they were molested. Soon after this, a young lady in her mask called on Admiral Vernon at his lodgings and asked him if he would take her home in his ship. "Zounds, madam, no," said the admiral. "No petticoats aboard the king's ship. Alas, sir, say not so. Do but cast your eyes over this advertisement. Indeed, 'tis no common case. 'Tis a matter of life and death, my going in your ship." The admiral read the advertisement and cried out, "What? Accused of murder? Gadzooks! What fools these landsmen be! And are you indeed the gentlewoman they seek? Noble admiral, deign to regard my foul eyebrows that are all published to the world so barbarously in this advertisement." And the sly puss removed her mask and burst on the sailor in all her sun-like beauty. At this blaze he began to falter a little. "'Tis a pity to deny you, but why not go in the first ship of burden?" "Sir, none sail this week, and they are too slow for my need. And in truth, I'm afeard to be drowned if I go in any other ship but the one you do command. Oh, Admiral, you are too brave to deny the weak and helpless in their trouble." "Madam," said the admiral, "you mistake the matter. 'Tis of you, I think. I am a father, and a ship of war is not the place for young gentlewomen. But, sir, I am discreet and know the world, and I can wear my mask and keep close. Oh, noble sir, have pity on me, and let me sail in your good ship." Then with her lovely eyes she turned on what I, laboring to be satirical, call the waters of the Nile. Then the admiral rapped out the usual oaths of the sea and the century, and said she had done his business. The sailor was never yet proof against salt water from a woman's eyes. He then told her where his ship lay, in the Bay of Delaware, and this, in his day and hour of sailing, she must come out in a boat, and he would charge an officer beforehand to see her safe aboard. Philippa returned to her lawyer in high spirits and sent him to James with a note in her own hand, directing him to go on board the English flagship next day at 6 in the evening, and she would follow the day after before the ship sailed. James did as he was bid. At noon next day, a boat brought a lady in her mask alongside, and James, who was looking out anxiously for Philip, saw her taken on board with her boxes, for she had found time to shop furiously, and handed respectfully to her cabin, but James did not recognize her, nor dream this tall gentlewoman was little Philip. At 2 p.m., the admiral was seen coming out. The yards were manned directly, and he mounted the quarter-deck. With due honors, the next minute the pipe was going, and the men's feet tramping to the captain, whilst others hoisted a sail or two, and the anchor was secured. And the ship bowed and glided and burst into canvas, and the busy seamen all bustled and shouldered poor James out of the way with salt curses as he ran about the ship asking wildly for Philip and describing him to coarse fellows who only jeered him. One faint hope remained: Philip might be down below, but the next day dissipated this. Philip never showed his face, and this puzzled and grieved James honestly so that even the prospect of liberty and home could not reconcile him to the loss and seeming desertion of this tender and faithful friend. The officer in charge of the new hands now called on James to do some very simple act of seamanship. He bungled it, and there was a good deal of coarse derision, to which he replied at last, a little sadly, but with good temper: "Men are not born sailors, are they?" An officer at the other side of the deck heard this reply and was struck with the voice, or the face, or perhaps with all three, and called to him. He came respectfully and removed his cap. "Sure, I have seen that face before," said the officer. James started and said, "I have seen yours, sir, but where?" Said the officer, "I'll tell you that. Is not your name James?" "Indeed, sir, it is." "Son of Lord Altham that was?" "Yes, sir, but how? Oh, 'tis my kind schoolfellow. Ah, I am Matt Matthews, that set you on your way to Dublin. I took a good look at you that day, and I seldom forget a face I look at. So, but what means this disguise? In heaven's name, you have been reported dead in Ireland this many a year. Where have you been? Is this a frolic, good sir, or hath fortune used you crossly?" "Sir," said James, "I'll tell you in a word, but a word full of misery. My uncle Richard kidnapped me and sent me to the plantations. There have I been a slave this many a long year, and even now escaped by a miracle." "A slave? You? A lord's son? A slave?" "Kidnapped, and by Richard Annesley, say you? Why, 'tis he now holds your father's lands and titles. Perdition! Here is foul play. The knave! 'Twas to steal your lands and titles he spirited you away. Indeed, sir, I always did suspect it. Such villainy was never yet done for love of God." "Sir," said Captain Matthews, "sit you down, and not another rope shall you handle in this ship." He ran with his heart in his mouth to the admiral, and his warm-hearted Irish eloquence, burning with his schoolfellow's wrongs, soon fired the honest sailor. They agreed that this was the real Earl, and his uncle a felon, whom the sight of the real heir would blast. "And now I think on it," said Matthews, "Arthur Lord Annesley is dead, and Richard Annesley has succeeded to his lands and titles too, so that there is one of the greatest noblemen in England and Ireland a sailor on board this ship, and a very bad one." "That may not be," said the admiral. "Overhaul the wardrobe straight, and rig him like a lord as he is, and make us acquainted." He added with the touch of delicacy one would hardly have expected, "I'll not see him in his sailor's jacket, nor seem to know he hath been brought so low." I guess that's him. As a baby? I don't know what the hell that is. All right, that's the end of that very short chapter 6. Chapter 7 awaits, and that will be tomorrow morning read, since it's late and my book is falling apart, sadly. Goodbye, bruvs. Goodbye.